recently I feel like I've been in the vortex more.
Yes.
But I have this fear because all of my life I keep going through these cycles of depression. And on several occasions I've thought, I don't ever have to go back there. Well, but I do. And I'm sick of it.
Well, here's something that we can promise you. When you don't know the basis of who you are, the analogy that we offered for years, and we haven't told this story in a while, is Jerry and Esther traveling from Arizona to San Diego, from Phoenix to San Diego, and passing through Yuma on the way. And never once did they get in Yuma, which was not a place they wanted to stay, and get so disoriented about being there that they got confused and went back to Phoenix. And then they would say, well, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma, Phoenix, Yuma. When do we get to where we really want to be? And there are a lot of people that go from depression to anger, from depression to anger, from depression to anger, from depression to anger, but never actually move on to where they want to be. And the reason is because they are responding to conditions and they have sort of lost sight of this guidance from inside the vortex who is calling them. In other words, if you're depressed and you're depressed because you're focusing upon the absence of something that you want very much. Otherwise, you wouldn't call it depression. You'd call it frustration or impatience. But the fact that you're calling it depression means you really, really want it. And you're really, really focused in opposition to what you really, really want. But most people who are in that situation don't know how it's coming about. They're just having a feeling response to life. Sometimes they can't even put their finger on what it is that's really bothering them. Well, what it is that's really bothering them, we know what it is that's really bothering them. What it is that's really bothering them is that through life they've become something really different than their habit of thought is letting them be. And when through life you've become something really different than your habit of thought lets you be, then the discord between who you really are and who you're chronically being, it just gets old. So what happens is, no matter where you are along this thought process and this emotional response to the thought process, who you really are, your inner being over here in this vortex, is offering a signal that is hooked into you. Now, the reason it's hooked into you is because you were the creator of it. In other words, we can't separate, and you can't either, the non-physical you from the physical you, from the non-physical you from the physical you. In other words, it's an integrated vibrational being that really can never be separated. But you can think your way into pinching yourself off from it. So the thing that's so interesting and physically confounding is that the more you hurt, the more you ask, and the more you ask, the more you need to go. But if you're hurting and don't go, then the more you hurt. And then the more you hurt, the more you ask. But it's too big of a jump to make, so you don't make it. So the stakes just get higher and higher, and the discomfort gets stronger and stronger. So then, the source within you. Did you catch the part that we were offering about the physical you is really hooked in to this creation? So here's your inner being over here, being this annoyingly frisky, annoying good feeling version of you, living everything that you want to be. And when you catch a whiff of it from way over there, it's as annoying as if you see your neighbor thriving when you're not. In other words, when you're not there, it doesn't feel good. But here's this signal beaming constantly and hooked into you, so it keeps coming after you. In other words, it keeps pulling you this away. It keeps pulling you toward it, because this vortex, we ascertained that it is a black hole that's summoning all cooperative components, is reaching for you, and will always reach for you because it is you reaching for you. But you're not coming because you've got a vibrational pattern going on that's stronger. So it's reaching, but you feel the tug of that. And so you know what the call of source feels like to you when you're in depression, when you hear the call and move a little bit? Anger or revenge or and so you begin moving. But then people who are watching you, they liked you better when you were depressed. You were a lot less trouble. And so most people that you are describing, and you are among them, you're not moving very far from, and that's why even if you move into something that feels a little better, you fear, you say, that you'll flip back. And we want to say to you, we don't hold that concern for you at all, because we can feel the power of your vortex. And we know that it won't take much more for the vortex to call you. In other words, if you would just let yourself get to the brink of hope a few times, the vortex would take you in and a lot of things would shift. We also know that you could even sit in a gathering like this here today, where you say, and several have said, there's much that I wanted to talk about, and I began hearing and feeling that. Just listening to us standing inside your vortex, telling you what we know that the larger part of you knows, in your willingness to sit and endure the length of this kind of conversation, your vibration is shifting. It's like the vortex is tuning you to a different place. And it is our promise to you, you do not need to fear ever returning to where you were before, because there's enough shift that has taken place that is our expectation that enough differences will begin to occur to you that you will begin to get a different grip or a different perspective on your life experience.
Thank you.
People worry. It's a common saying, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. And what that is this feels too good, I fear it won't last. And we say, but now you're smart. In fact, we'll go you one further. Of course it won't last. You're right, it won't last. You're not going to maintain this high flying in the vortex, not until you croak. Well, that's sort of where you came in, isn't it? you're not going to maintain that 100% of the time. But here's the most important thing, nor did you intend to. So we think that once you show yourself that you can move to the vortex when you want to, that you won't fear being out of it. Every now and again, Esther just has a real little fit, like a sort of childish tantrum, just because she can. In other words, almost in defiance of the vortex. I don't have to be in you all the time, because I can get in you anytime I want to. So, and we take it as a good sign, because she doesn't feel tentative about the vortex. In other words, and plus she's starting to be one of those really deliberate creators where she knows that there's always value in the contrast that causes her to put more into the vortex. In other words, when there's something going on, she always feels more alive if she's able to contain the direction of the thought, you see. You don't want to be limp and bored. You want to be alive and directing your thoughts. And you can be in control of your emotions, and are more than you're giving yourself credit for. And it is our promise you will not go back to those deep, dark, I don't know what to do places that you've been before, because you do know what to do.
See, that assurance helps me tremendously.
Yeah.
I can believe it if that's what you tell me.